Hello everyone. So today we will be working on lab number 7. So in the lab number 7 we have a couple of tasks and we'll see how we can create a gameplay. Whenever you get the task done, just paste the screenshot of your environment or your scripts. We're gonna see how we can create how we can provide a behavior to a player. For example, if a player collides with, for example, obstacle, what response you want. For example, destroy that obstacle, or for example, let's say you want to exit the game. Let's say something like a game over thing. So we're gonna see different strategies like implement the destroy function using tagging, using triggering, and stuff like that. So once you get the task done, just paste a screenshot. Okay. So let's start with the first task, which is create the game scene and add some sequential obstacles. So let's get back to your environment. So in your environment, I believe in the last lab we have created these directories, materials, prefabs, and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I am going to place these prefabs, and then I'll create uh, a game in obstacle. So what I'm going to do is I will start putting all these cubes right here. Let's say the blue cube. I'm gonna put the blue cube right here, and then let's say a red cube. It's gonna become down here. Okay, let's see if I can check it out. And let's say this is the red cube. I'm gonna put the red cube here. So just make sure these are aligned. All right, so let's see how it looks now. Perfect. And now I'm gonna actually repeat this thing here. How I can do that, I'm gonna select red cube, hold the control key. Okay, red cube, green cube, blue cube, and control D. Once you do it's the control D. So once you do that, what's going to happen? It will duplicate all these cubes. So now I'm going to select this blue cube and move it a little bit ahead here. Similarly, I'm going to do the same thing with the red cube. And then the red cube as well. All right. Okay. Now let's see, I'm gonna do the same thing for the next. So we have this environment here. Let me just again copy these. Let's see. Let's one more set. Let me create one more set. All right, so red, green, blue. And let's do the same thing for the blue one. All right. So somehow I have created this environment right here. If you see down here, this is the environment. For now, I have created this environment, and that's kind of a small scene. So please take a screenshot for your task number 1. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Next, I'm gonna see, because what I want is I want is, like, for example, if my player hits the red cube, what it should do, it should destroy all these red cubes, like kind of a collectibles. And if it hits or collides with the green cube, it will stop working. That's the ultimate goal. The game plan is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm next going to provide a behavior. So if you want to provide a behavior to your player, what we need to do is we need to write a script. So the behavior is, again, let me repeat, if the player hits the red cube, it destroys it. That's basically what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to scripts. I will create a script down here. Let me right click here and create a script. And let me just rename the script to player collision. So this is my player collision script. Now I'm gonna assign this particular script to my player. I'll go down here. So player script, I'm gonna assign to my player. Now if I click my player, you guys should see here there is basically a player script where nothing has been assigned to the script. Okay, let's open the script. So right here, this is basically when you open your script, you guys can see something like that. So here, what we're gonna do is, since we are going to add a method, which is the collision method, and collision method is already there. So what we're gonna do is, I am going to remove all these stuff from here. And this is basically these two methods. I'm gonna remove these two methods, and I'm going to put one method here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a method here, and that method is going to be, it's called the on collision. So on collision, just type it. On collision method, let's see if I can. Typically what it should do, it should actually show you the collision methods here. But what I'm going to do is, let's write a function here for that method. All right, so let's start writing the method on collision. It's not basically showing me. Let me just type the full function. So let's create private class void on collision, enter. There are plenty of different methods for collision. I'm going to use the on collision enter method, and let's activate collision. The variable is just the collision. And let's see if I can, let me just test this one. Let's see if it works. This is for the testing statement. So this is basically the method on collision enter method. And what I have done is I have created a collision variable belong to this class. And let me just test it out whether this works or not. Player collided. Let's try. All right, let me just save my script and let's try this on. Let's see how it works. So everything seems fine on collision method. Let's try this, if it works or not. Let's try. It has been applied. And let me just first of all go to camera and select the camera. That's fine, I guess it's fine. Let's see. So let's play. All right, so let's see if it is working here. If I go to console, play collided, exactly. So it is working right here. If I show you play, and if it hits, you guys can see it is basically working. Script is working. So let me clear. All right, so player is collided, player collided. Whenever it collides, it will show you all that kind of stuff here. Let's try one more time. Perfect. So So it is perfectly working. Whenever we play the game, it is basically whenever it hits with the obstacle, it is mainly showing you all that stuff. That's great. So script is working for now, and you can take a screenshot of your script or whatever is good for you. Right here, if you saw one thing here, a problem here, if you might have noticed this problem, the problem is whenever it hits the obstacles, what is happening here? It's basically, so let me just change the camera view. Game object align with view. It's better. Let's play. Alright, so let's align with view. Alright, so let's play the game now. Let's try. If you guys see here, it is basically being reflected now. You see, it is basically rotating, and I don't want it to be rotated. I want it to be fixed. How I can do that? In order to make it fixed, I'm gonna actually click the player, and if you see in the player, under the rigid body, if you see the rigid body here, under the rigid body, if you see the constraints, if I pull up the constraint, so freeze position will not make it move, but I want it to be moved like position. But if you hit the freeze rotation, then x-axis y, y-axis y, it's not gonna rotate. So once you do that, let me just save this, and now let's play. Once you play this, you will see that it will not rotate, even though it is basically hitting all these obstacles. So it's going fine. Let's see, let's move on, and let's see if we can increase the speed, because what is happening here, if I show you the speed, yeah, it is basically being rotated. Let's try. Alright, so let's see. One more thing which I would like to do is the drag position. Let me just make it 2. Alright, let's see. So the next is what we have done so far is whenever it hit with any of the obstacle, it printed out player collided. If you want to see with which player my player is collided, because there are different kind of players, so what I'm going to do is, because the value is stored in this variable collision variable, so what I'm going to do is I am going to name this collision variable with other. I'm going to make this variable with other, for example. Now this is the other variable. Now I am I'm going to print out the other. So we'll do the same thing, but I'm going to change my script with debug.log, and let's name it other, which is this variable dot game object dot name. So what's gonna happen, it will display the name of this object other, like whatever the variable name is. If it is a red cube or whatever the name is, I'm gonna save this. So once you save this, let's go back to the game scene. Let's see if it get applied. Warning, player script rigid hides the inherited member component. Use the new keyword if hiding was intended. Let's see, it's a warning. Let's try that. Alright, so you guys can see here, it is basically showing us the name red cube because it hit red cube. Now it's hit blue cube. You can see it hit the green cube. You can see alright, that's a problem. The problem is that we just saw hitting the red cube. Again, it is hitting the objects and it is basically showing you all those stuff. So that's kind of cool. If you see blue cube, green cube, red cube. So now we are very much into it. It's like we can see the name. You guys can see down here in the console, you can see all the name whenever it hit any of the obstacle. Now let's come to the main task, which is, for example, if you want to destroy, for example, what I want is if it collides with the red obstacle, it will destroy that. So how we can do that? In order to do that, let's go back to our script again. And here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put here a condition, if condition. So let's say if other, which is basically the game object, if other dot game object dot name, if it is equal to red cube, which is basically the name red cube, if it is the red cube, then what I want is I'm gonna use a function which is called destroy function, which will destroy that. Let's try this function on. Destroy, what is being destroyed? This one, the other, whatever would be in the other, and other is basically whenever it hit anything, whatever the value is would be, it will be loaded down here. So if other, because it can collide with green, blue, and whatever the obstacles are. Now if it hit with the red cube, then it will destroy other dot game dot game object. Let's try this. So if this condition, if it hit red cube, it should do that. Everything else seems fine. Let me save my script and let's go down here. It's being applied. Let's go to project. Now let's see. Let's try. All right, so you guys can see here I have collected that one, but rest of the red are not being collected. So let me show you what happened here. If I show you guys, all right, so let's set the camera line with the view. Where is camera gone? Let me just undo. Alright, so let's start the game. If you guys say we have collected that one, but rest of, I mean, it just collected the first cube and rest is not being collected. So I mean, this is what we have done so far. So in order to do that, of course we can apply the same, like we can change the name of the script, or we can, let's get it done through the tagging, how the tagging actually works. So in order to apply the tagging, what we're going to do is, let's for example, let's say if you select the player or whatever it is, go to inspector, and in the inspector here, if you see the inspector central, so it's right here. If you see the tag player is not tagged, or if you pull the tags, you can see there are few tags which are already there. We need to create a new tag so we can associate. Tag mean like what we are going to do is we are basically categorizing a game object. So let me just hit the tag and plus button to add a new tag. Let me just name this tag to, let's say, collectible, so I can collect or destroy whatever you want to name it. Oh, sorry, collectible, and hit save. No tag has been saved. Now I will go back to my player again, and if I pull it up, you guys can see the collectible tag has been added. Now what I'm going to do is in order to apply to all the tags, I mean, one of the ways you can directly go to project window and go to prefab and the red cube. If you click the red cube, for the red cube you can associate, like click here and apply collectible. So all the red cubes in the obstacle, they have been applied this particular red collectible stuff. Let me show you. If you click the red cube here, you can see here the tag has been red. If you click this red cube, you can see collectible, red cube, collectible, and all that has been applied to all the red cubes. Rest is of course blue cube, it's not untagged because we have applied the red tag, we have applied the collectible tag to only to the red cube. Now what we're gonna do is, since we have applied this tag here, so what we are going to do, we'll go back to our script and let's make a small change here. Rest of the stuff is going to be the same, but red cube will be replaced with the collectible. So collectibles, and now rest is other destroy. Everything seems perfectly fine to me. And let's name is going to be the tag now. Tag mean the attribute. Rest is seems fine. Let me save this and let's try if it works or not. Okay, it has been applied. Let's try. You guys can see here it is collecting all the red cubes whenever it strikes with the red cube. Perfect. And let me show you guys here. If we hit the green, nothing has happened. Red, nothing has happened. Red is being collected. Blue, nothing, and red. Perfect. So things are pretty much going great, and let's move on and let's see if you, for example, right here, what is happening here is it is becoming super slow. If you see, yeah, it's basically when it strikes, it is basically becoming very, very slow. So how it is, why it is happening? Because when you apply, when it collides with any of the obstacle, there's an impact, and that impact transfer to the player. So if you want to get rid of it, we can use one thing which is called trigger. So let's see how we can apply it triggering. So what we're gonna do is, if you click the prefab red cube and let's see if I can apply the trigger. Let's make them triggering. If you guys want to make it triggering, so we need to go to the, let's see if I can open the prefab. Let's go back and I can apply the triggering from here. Collectible, there is this. All right, so right here it's in the box collider. Do you see here the trigger? So let's if you wanna apply to all, I'll click the prefab, click the red cube, and let me just scroll down this. Under the box collider, I'm gonna make it trigger. So once you make it trigger, what's gonna happen? It can get through this. Like the object can get through this. Okay, let's try. No, it's not getting through it. Let me see. The position is, let me see if I can make, what is, let me make this the green cube. Box collider, let me make it trigger. So let's see what it does with this screen. Oh, all right. So if you guys see here, what is basically the impact of triggering? You can see here, it will get through that. So that's basically what the impact of triggering is. Let me just make all my red cube trigger. If you see my red cube, just to avoid the speed stuff, it is the red cube. Let me click this red cube and see if I can make them all trigger. Command save. So all my red cube became triggered. Triggered will not basically impact the speed. If you see, it is basically passing through this. You guys can see that's passing through it, but I need to make them collectible. So how we can do that? We need to, I'm gonna actually unapply with this green cube, because this green cube, I made it triggerable. So what I'm gonna do is, I think this green one. Okay, let's uncheck it. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'll go back to my script, and since I made my red cubes triggerable, so it is basically passing through it. You guys can see here, passing through it, but speed is fine, but it's not impacting the speed. So what I want is, I want this particular property which will not impact my speed, and I want to get them collected. So what I'm gonna do is, I'll use another method beside the onCollision method. I will use onTrigger method, in fact, and let's see how exactly it will work. Rest of the things are same. The class is going to be onTriggerEnter. Beside onCollision, onTrigger, onTriggerEnter, that's the method. Collision, let's name it other. If other.gameplay tag is equal to collectible, that seems fine. Rest of the stuff should be the same, but let's try, because now I'm going to use the triggering method. So what's going to happen? The triggering enter method will allow you to destroy them, because we have used the destroy function. So without impacting the speed, it will start collecting all those stuff. So let's save this. Let's go back to the game scene. Let's see how it works. Let me try this. It is not basically collecting them. Let me just fix this. All right. So there was just a small error in the code. If you guys just fix that, it's when you use the on trigger enter method, we need to use a collider here, not the collision. So it's going to be a collider, a variable collider that will be work here. So if I show you down here now, the method, let's try this. So now all these are became triggered, but if you see, these are collectible triggered now. Let me show you. If hit with any other object, nothing is going to happen, but if it hits with the red one, it is passing through plus collecting as well. So this is basically, if I show you the red again, you guys can see it is a trigger, but again we have implemented through the triggered method here. Next and last thing here is, for example, if it hits to with any other particular obstacle, like if it hit with the blue or the green obstacle. So what I want is, I want my script to be suspended, to be terminated. So how we can do that? In order to do that, what I'm going to do is, I am going to add a variable so I can control over that variable. So in that variable, I am going to put a variable here, and let's name it public variable, let's say. And let me just name it public variable. Name is, let's say, it's going to be, of course, player script. Let's say belong to a player script, and let's name it player script, so it would be easy for us to call this variable. And the rest I'm gonna do, let me just see if what happened once you apply this variable. And if I show you this to you in the game, if I click the player, in the player you should see a player variable should come here. Let's see. Compiler error. Let me see what's the error. So player script, and let's go down here as well. Everything seems fine to me. This is a variable and I want to use this variable. Let's see what's wrong with this. Alright, so what I have done is I have created a player collision script, and in the player collision script what we have done is we have created a variable, and the variable name is player script play1. That's basically the variable name is player1. Play1 is the variable which belongs to player script category. And what I'm going to show you guys here, if we go back to the game script, this is a new variable which is called play1, and play1 I'm going to assign this player script to play1. It has been assigned, and after this I will control save. Now the next thing is, what I'm going to do is I need to create a new variable, and I need a tag, in fact, and I need to put the blue and the green one in that particular tag, which is going to be obstacles. Like, obstacles mean if my players collides with these particular obstacles. So what I want is, I want to terminate my player script. Okay, so in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'll again go to the inspector here and click the tag, and I will hit the add tag, and let's name it obstacles. Okay, so I named it obstacles, and let's save this, and let's see what we got here. So we have created a new tab, and let's go to the prefab, and I'm gonna assign all these obstacles this particular one. Let's say big obstacle. I am going to tag this with the obstacles blue. It's going to be classified as obstacles green, obstacles, and this obstacle is going to be also obstacle. We're going to use it later on. Perfect. Red cube and blue cube, they have this player, that's the player, and this red cube has already been assigned a cab. So now what we're going to do is I will go back to my script here, and in my script I need to, okay, so after this what I want is, this was actually working for my red one. I need to add one more script here, and for that particular script I need to create another class here, private, and it's going to be on collision, the previous one. I'm just going to combine these two together, collision, enter, and it's going to be collision other. Okay, so let me just name it collision other, collision, because collider is for the triggering one, and it's going to be collision, just a collision, and let's name it other, for example, again other. All right, and then let's say what I'm gonna do is let me create if statement here, if other, which is this other dot game object, other dot game object dot tag, whatever the tag is, tag name is tag equal to obstacles. It should be exactly the same if it is obstacle. So what I want is I want to do this thing here. What I want is I want to this player script. So player script, make sure the spellings should be exactly the same. Player script dot enabled, which is enabled, equal to false. False mean it will terminate. So for example, if it hits the obstacle, so what should happen? It should terminate my player script. Let's save this. Once it got saved, let's go back here. Let's see if there is perfectly fine. Let me just play the game, and there are some compiler errors, and the compiler error is collision does not include game object collision. Let's see if I need to make it. This collision is not not defined. Let's see. Yeah, so there is just only one thing which was wrong. I just renamed the variable with the player one because I was getting confused with the player script. Because in my game, if you see in the player, if I click the player, if you see down here, my script was player script. So that was just a small confusion. So we're gonna use the play one, which belong to this particular class, which is already right there. And what will happen if the player will collide or collide with any of the obstacle, like any of the obstacle or tag, whatever you want to name it, then what's going to happen? The play one will be false, like it will suspend the script, the running script. So what we need to do is just save this, and all we have to do is once you play the game, once it will hit the red, it will start collecting that, and when it will hit the green or blue, what's going to happen? It will suspend your player script. So that's it for our today's lab. If anybody will have any questions, just do let me know. That's all about lab number 7. In the next week, we're gonna start working on lab number 8. Plus, I'll give you the lab number 8 is where we will design the game over and these kind of stuff. And plus, we will also work on the project 1 proposal as well. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone.